All right, let's gear up. We're about to dive into one of the most complex, high-stakes missions in the entire business world, the corporate carve-out. It really all starts with one seemingly simple question. How in the world do you take a massive, tangled-up company and just split it in two? Sounds straightforward, but trust me, the reality is anything but. Because in this mission, there's one golden rule, one non-negotiable, absolute law. From the very second that split becomes official, everything, and I mean everything, in the new company has to work perfectly. There are no do-overs. And that brings us right to our first objective, the day one deadline. This single idea is what turns a corporate separation into the ultimate challenge. This right here really puts it all into perspective. Think about a merger, right? When two companies combine, you can kind of figure things out as you go, even after the deal is done. But a carve-out, it's the total opposite. The new company has to be 100% operational from the first tick of the clock. There's no grace period. And if you're on the finance team, this isn't just some checklist. It's your Bible. You need a full team in their seats, ready to go. You need your own systems, your own tech, and a budget that actually works. This isn't theoretical. It means you can pay your bills, you can pay your people, and you can close the books on day one. But getting to that day one finish line, well, it's not a straight shot. It's more like navigating an obstacle course in the dark. So let's talk about the crazy complexities that make this so tough. The tricky part is that all these challenges are tangled together. Companies today are global, with these incredibly complex legal setups and technology systems that have been layered on top of each other for decades. Trying to untangle all of that, often on a super aggressive timeline, is where this mission gets really, really hard. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, get this. One Fortune 500 company had to separate over 700 different IT applications. 700! Just try to imagine the sheer complexity of untangling that digital web without shutting the whole business down. So, to manage all this risk, companies do something really smart. They create a deadline before the real deadline. They call it Operational Day One. For weeks, sometimes months before the official split, the new business runs a full-scale dress rehearsal. They're testing every system, moving real money, all while they're technically still part of the old company. It is a massive high-wire act. Okay, so if the stakes are that high, how do you make sure you don't just completely crash and burn? Well, you build a safety net. And in the carve-out world, this safety net is an absolute lifeline. It's called a Transition Service Agreement, or TSA. And it's basically a formal contract where the old parent company agrees to keep providing essential services, things like payroll, HR, or IT support, to the new company for a while. It's like a temporary bridge to make sure nothing breaks. And the way it works is super logical. First, you figure out what the new company can't do on its own by day one. That's your gap. Then, you sign a legal agreement for the parent company to handle it. They provide that service for a fee. And then, once the new company is standing on its own 2 feet, the agreement ends. It's a brilliant way to manage risk. But here's the thing, you can't just rely on safety nets. A truly successful mission needs a plan. It needs a proactive strategy. It needs a blueprint. I absolutely love this analogy. You wouldn't just start building a house without a detailed blueprint, right? Of course not. And you can't just spin up a brand new multi-million-dollar company without one either. It's all about that careful, meticulous planning. So the roadmap to get there is actually pretty clear. You start by developing those detailed blueprints. That becomes your single source of truth. From there, you turn the blueprint into an actionable day one plan. Then you use TSAs as a smart backup plan. And finally, you just execute with extreme discipline. So, after all this hassle, all this complexity, why on earth would any company go through this? Because when the mission is accomplished, the payoff can be absolutely massive. It's all about unlocking value. Let's look at a real-world example to see what I mean. You've got this huge tech company, and they need to sell off a few of their businesses to help pay down some debt. The problem? Those businesses were completely woven into the fabric of the parent company. The team faced some huge hurdles. There were no separate financial statements, so they had to literally build them from the ground up. Operations were all shared, so they had to figure out a fair, data-driven way to split everything up. But here's the genius move. They created financials for each individual unit and for the business as a whole. And here's why that was so smart. Before they did all this work, they could only sell the businesses as one big chunk. They had very little leverage. But after the carve-out, they had total flexibility. They could sell the units separately or together, which brought way more potential buyers to the table. And this quote just nails it. That flexibility, born from all that hard planning, gave them incredible leverage. And what did that lead to? A higher sales price. All that complexity translated directly into real, tangible value. So here's the real takeaway. A carve-out isn't just some messy administrative split. It's a strategic mission. And when you pull it off, it is one of the most powerful ways to unlock value that's been trapped inside a big, complex organization. Which leaves us with a really exciting question to think about. In today's business world, with all these massive, sprawling companies, what other hidden potential is just sitting there, waiting for the right mission to come along and unlock it?